Say hi. Say we're gonna make a cooking video because we want to. Uh-huh. What are we making today? Can you say salmon and croute? Salmon and croute. We're gonna make a salmon and croute with a beurre blanc and some roasted vegetables, which we're not gonna talk about in this video. We're just gonna make them. Say salmon and croute. Salmon and croute. Salmon and croute. Salmon and croute. You excited? There he goes. All right, let's talk about everything we need to make dinner today. So salmon and croute is a salmon wrapped in a puff pastry with some kind of creamy, delicious filling. So what we're looking at today is our salmon fillets in here. We're gonna make our filling with cream cheese, spinach. We're gonna use some lemon, some garlic, some shallot. I've also got some Parmesan cheese I'm probably gonna throw in there. That's not out here. For our Beurre Blanc, we're going really traditional. So we've got white wine, we've got white wine vinegar, shallot, of course butter. We're gonna finish our Beurre Blanc with some dill and some fresh lemon. That's gonna go really well with our salmon and croute, and it's also gonna go really well with our roasted vegetables. So let's get cooking. All right, I'm gonna start by making my creamy filling for my salmon and croute. And I'm gonna start a little butter along with some olive oil. Not because the olive oil stops the butter from burning, but because they taste good together. We're gonna sweat some shallot in here. I don't really wanna go too hard or too hot on this. Not looking to get any color on my shallot or anything like that. I just wanna sweat it out, give it a little bit of a head start. Not too long. Very nice. We're gonna toss in about 5 ounces of spinach. I got a whole stick of cream cheese. I don't know or think I'm gonna need to actually use all of this for this recipe. But I figured I'd make it all anyway, and if I have some left over, that is perfectly fine with me. It might end up in an omelet. It could end up getting stretched out with a little sour cream and turned into just a spinach dip for chips. Could end up inside of a piece of meat. I've got some pork tenderloin and chicken thighs I need to use this week, so it could end up in there. Let's go ahead and get our spinach in. As always, we season some salt, hit it with some pepper. Man down, 2 men down, get back in there. Another one out. We're gonna cook this spinach down until it is fully wilted. I'll come back when that's done. All right, we've got our spinach just about where we want it. So for the last 60 seconds or so here, we'll go ahead and get our garlic in. I've said this before, I'll say it again until I stop saying it. The amount of people who burn garlic is out of control in this world. I see people put it in first, which just saddens my heart. Garlic needs 60 seconds to cook maybe. This is a gentle cook here, might go a little longer. Anything over 2-3 minutes, you're really going to start developing burnt, bitter garlic. It's going to permeate through your entire recipe. You'll taste it in the end product, and it is really unpleasant. So kind of waft it over here. Once you can smell garlic, that pretty much means it's done. And don't get me wrong, it's your food. If you like burnt garlic, because you find that flavor and that bitterness appealing, who am I to stop you from putting burnt garlic in your food? But I feel like most people just don't know what they're doing wrong. We're gonna go ahead and add our block of cream cheese. We're not trying to cook this. We just want it soft enough to allow us to mix everything together. What we're gonna need to do once this is done is let it cool down. I do not want to put this fish together hot. I'm really doing all this in advance. We're not going to be actually throwing this in the oven for a while here. You know, another thing with cooking with puff pastry is puff pastry does really well into the oven from a very cold temperature. So even once we put it all together, we're going to put it into the fridge and let it cool down let the puff pastry cool down once it's assembled for at least a good half hour. You know, we're not putting it together hot, so it's not going to need forever, but puff pastry will obviously warm up from us handling it, and we're going to want to put it in the oven really cold. So we've kind of got this down just about to the texture of everything being fully integrated. Again, anything in here that needs to cook is cooked, so we're just trying to get it fully integrated into a single texture with no big clumps of cream cheese. Almost there. Getting close. Keep stirring. The pan's not too hot. Don't want it too hot. For all the people who say stainless steel isn't non-stick, just learn how to use it. It's a great material. You can see nothing's sticking to this. It's cream cheese, spinach, and whatnot. Almost got this exact. Smells amazing, by the way. Smells incredible. We're gonna finish this here in just a minute. I just want to get these last few big lumps out. This one here. And get it down closer to the pan. There we go. That guy's gone. Alright. This will finish with residual heat, but I am going to take it off the heat. Grab my microplane. We're going to work in some Parmigiano Reggiano. As always, use the real stuff. Parmigiano Reggiano. Shred your own cheese. But we're going to get a comfortable amount of it in here. If you decide to make this for yourself, use as much to make you happy. So we're going to get that in there. Looks pretty good. And then I washed a lemon. We're going to get some lemon zest in here. People like to zest this way. They're zesting wrong. You want to zest with it facing you. You kind of see what you're doing. See, I can see where I'm at on the lemon. So we'll get through maybe. I'm going to do zest of half a lemon. Let me see what it looks like. Yeah. Lemon zest is pretty strong. We don't want too much. So again, this has been cut from the heat. So let's mix that in. I'll take it off our electric burner. Beautiful. Let's taste it for seasoning. Make sure we're happy with it. That, I mean, you could just eat this with a spoon if you're snowed in. I'm snowed in right now, but literally, you could just eat that. So we're gonna let this cool all the way down. We'll move it to a bowl, and then we'll come back and assemble our salmon and croute. All right, our puff pastry is thawed. Our cream cheese mixture is cooled down to about room temperature, so that's fine. We're gonna build our salmon and croute. So one thing I didn't mention earlier is I'm doing something I don't normally do when I make a video, which is I am actually making this recipe for the first time. I've never made it before. So if there are any epic fails in here, just know it's because I don't know what I'm doing. Another thing I forgot to mention earlier in my ingredient recap is I made some crepes. I made crepes earlier to get ready for this, similar to how you'd use them in a Wellington. And then the way we're putting this together is we're doing 2 individual salmon fillets into obviously 2 puff pastries here. So I think rather than center them, I think the way these will end up coming together is to kind of fold over and connect the edges. So let's go a little off center. If we have to take some crepe out, we can. We're gonna kind of fold it over the fish anyway. All right, let's get our fish on. So my fish has been seasoned with salt and pepper, and then I also put some dill on top. I really like fresh dill. If you don't like fresh dill, don't use it. You can season this kind of however you want. So let's look at, so I've got more crepes. Let's see how the coverage is here. You know what? I'm gonna put the filling on, and then we'll look at getting the coverage from the crepe on the fish. So let me wash my hands real quick. Do that. And let's get our filling. Not our filling, but our cream cheese. I guess it's a filling. Yeah, we're definitely not going to need all of it. Great. Happy to have some of this left over. Do that. Get a step on here to kind of smooth it out. Use your hands a little. That feels right. I mean, I obviously don't want, personally, if you make this yourself, you can do it how you want. I don't exactly want like a 50-50 mix of spinach and cream cheese to fish. I really want the fish to be the star of the show in here. So I think just a nice even layer like that will make me happy. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Looks good to me. Okay, let's go ahead and get more crepe. I actually had 2 that came out funny. Cut them in half. We snacked on a little crepe earlier too. So maybe if we do something like that. Let's see. Can we wrap it up? Oh yeah. Let's wrap it up. Here's what we'll do. I'm gonna wrap it up, flip it over. Like that. Got a nice, neat little package in there. Look at that. Give it a nice shape. All right, let's go do the other one. Flip it over. Very nice. Beautiful. All right, now that we got these wrapped up, I've gone ahead and made a bit of an egg wash here. That is a combination of egg yolk and a little heavy cream. Really important when working with puff pastry to use egg wash. We'll put it on the outside as well. I like to put it anywhere we're gonna make a seam. Just gives me some confidence that it's going to seal real nice. So we'll go really close to the fish here because we're going to trim off the excess. So let's make sure that what we keep is sealed really nice. I don't know what it is about doing stuff like this, but I find this relaxing. Take your time, paint it with some pride. My guy, not my guy, I don't know him, but Myron Mixon, barbecue legend. Watched him make ribs one time. He was brushing them with barbecue sauce, and he said, paint it with pride like you paint your house. And that really just resonated with me and kind of stuck. Okay, so let's get this. What we want is this to be really nice and tight around the fish. If you wanted to make this like super pretty, I think you could have like draped one over the other. This is going to have kind of a different look to it. We'll get it pretty close all the way around. Can even pinch a little down there so it's kind of consistent. That should be sealed really nice. Okay, perfect. Let's do the other one. Just gotta get it over. And then you can see that egg wash kind of doing its thing. It's not inclined to go anywhere. Sticking real good. We're not going to cut it too close to the fish because we don't want to accidentally cut into our fish or our crepe or anything like that. Okay. Beautiful. I have this little guy. He's a pasta cutter, but I figured we'd make it fun. So go there. It's like a big raviolo. Beautiful. Again, I am just an average home cook. If you got this in a restaurant, would you expect to have these pretty edges on all four sides? Probably. It's in the restaurant. In my house. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move those onto our tray here. I'm gonna use a spatula just so I can be really gentle in picking these up. They're pretty fine. Puff pastry is pretty resilient stuff. Okay, wonderful. All right, let's paint these up with our egg wash here. So this egg wash is super important when you're working with puff pastry dough. So whether you're making this, we make a lot of sausage rolls here because they're super easy, simple, delicious. Maybe do those in a different video. Super critical though that you get every exposed surface of this puff pastry with egg wash in order to make it nice, golden brown and crispy when it comes out. Just take your time, no rush. You could certainly take the extra and make pretty designs if you were so inclined. Not very good at it. Also don't feel like doing it. It also doesn't do anything other than add a visual component, which is very nice. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not going to do it. Okay, so we'll do that. We're going to add some flaky salt. which right now in my life is fleur de sel. Just sprinkle just a little on top. All right, we're gonna go ahead and let that set in the fridge for at least a good half hour, if not longer. You can do this way in advance, and then we will roast it and make our beurre blanc and eat dinner. Our salmon has been resting out in the refrigerator for a good half hour plus. It's nice and cold. We're gonna go ahead and pop it in the oven now. It's gonna probably take about 20 to 25 minutes. We'll check on it. It's done when the puff pastry is done. So when that puff pastry is golden brown, delicious, and toasted up, that is when this is finished. So we'll go ahead and start our beurre blanc in a few minutes. It doesn't take quite as long as the salmon takes to bake. And we'll get our roasted vegetables in too. So pop it in. I also had some Pomme Dutchess left over from a shepherd's pie I made the other day. So I kind of made these little medallions in a piping bag that I'm also gonna serve. They're really small. You can see there's my thumb. So they're little potato coins that are gonna roast up nice and golden brown and pretty. So had that left over. Thought it'd be fun. Throwing that in too. So what is a beurre blanc? Beurre blanc is a reduction of white wine vinegar, shallots, which is then emulsified with butter. I'm going to go with right around a 50-50 mix of white wine and white wine vinegar. I've got a nice Pinot Grigio, and I'm going to get my shallots in. Now, because I'm not looking to, cook or sweat out the shallots, I started this in a cold pot. And what we're going to do is reduce this down until it is pretty close to a syrup. Once it gets to that syrup consistency, we're going to fold in very, very cold butter. My butter is in the fridge as of right now. I'm guessing it'll take maybe 8 to 10 minutes to reduce this down. And then, 1/2 of a tablespoon at a time, we will fold in the butter under little to no heat until we have a beautiful emulsified sauce. And then once that's done, we'll throw in a little bit of fresh squeezed lemon juice and some fresh dill just to complement the dish we have at hand today. So I'm gonna let that get reducing, and we'll come back when it is down to a syrup consistency. Okay, so we're at the point now where just about all the liquid is gone. We have this sort of almost like shallot jam in here, which on its own looks great. We're gonna start folding in our butter. This is ice cold, not ice cold, but this is very cold butter that was in the fridge when we started. We took it out briefly, cut it into cubes, and I put it back in the fridge. We'll see if this is enough butter. I have probably 4 tablespoons or so. We'll put it on the heat as needed, but we really don't need much heat going forward here. So really kind of 1 cube at a time. Not 1 cube at a time. 1 small batch of cubes at a time. You just kind of mix it in until it melts. You can see we've got an emulsion here already, which is absolutely fantastic. That is exactly what we want to see. This is not a sauce that's going to be put on the plate ripping hot, It's going to be warm, probably warm at best. I also don't believe this sauce holds particularly well. So you kind of want to make just as much as you're going to use in the meal you're using it for. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty confident this doesn't hold up well in the refrigerator. You can't make big batches of it and store it. You kind of need to use it right away. So we'll keep stirring this butter in, and then we'll finish it with our fresh dill and lemon juice. We have gotten all our butter emulsified in. I added just a splash of lemon juice, and then I added a couple pinches of fresh dill. Let's go ahead and taste it for seasoning. It tastes amazing. This will make a wonderful sauce for both our fish and our vegetables. Can't wait to plate it up. Check on the fish. See when that puff pastry's done. Get it on a plate and we'll eat. I just want to add as an epilogue to this, since I told you guys it was the first time I made this recipe, that was way too much to make. I would definitely make half of the salmon and croute that I made next time for 2 people. What I made today for 2 people was way too much. And so next time I would save that extra fillet of salmon for something else and just make one of those. That was a lot of food and way too much for us to finish. So now we have leftover, and I'm not a huge fan of how puff pastry encased things hold up leftover. So we'll see what comes of it next, but lesson learned. Other than that, came out fantastic. Would definitely make again, just not make so much. So